Hello, I'm Ed Husted. I'm your instructor in Mass Media Law, and welcome to the course. It's JRN 413 here at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. My actual job is director of the paralegal program here at the university, but I have been teaching this Mass Media Law course for the journalism department since 1995. I want to just briefly go over with you what you can expect in this course. I've given you a very thorough syllabus, which is on Blackboard, and of course you should read that. But let me point out that the course is structured in 4 separate modules. They are captioned as follows. First one, the American legal system and the First Amendment. And I'll give you a little review of that first module as part of this opening introduction. The second module is entitled The Mass Media and Civil Liability. It covers situations under which a reporter, a journalist, a news gatherer might be liable for civil damages, such as defamation, libel and slander, invasion of privacy, that type of thing. The third part, or the third module, is entitled The Mass Media as Gatherers of Information. And this will talk about the kinds of laws that will assist you as news gatherers, open meeting laws, open record laws, the Freedom of Information Act, and situations of that sort. We'll also discuss your ability to protect confidential sources from being divulged, and we'll end that particular module by talking about the clash between the First Amendment, freedom of the press, and the Sixth Amendment, which guarantees everyone charged with crime the right to a fair trial, and how those two sometimes clash with one another. The fourth module that we'll cover talks about 4 different ways in which the government regulates the kinds of activities that modern journalists are engaged in. And we'll talk about those when I give you the introduction to the last module, module number 4. Let me cover with you briefly how each lesson is organized. Each lesson that you will have in this course, there are 14 of them, is organized into 4 separate parts, and you should take these parts in the same order each time. First of all, I've written, and it's on Blackboard under a caption, Instructor's Notes, I've written a brief introduction from me, just a skeletal outline of what you'll be talking about. These normally are very short, 2-3 pages. The instructor's notes for the first lesson, however, is very long because, as I will explain in a moment, it covers the American judicial system, which is something that you need to have at least a rudimentary knowledge of before you start through the course. So first, read the instructor's notes. Second, read the assigned chapter in the text. Text is Mass Media Law by Don Pember, and recently a co-author has joined him named Clay Calvert. This is the 17th edition. All of the information I provided in the course refers to page numbers in this 17th edition. It may be that some of you have the previous edition, and if you want to go through the course with the previous edition, that's fine. The chapters are exactly the same. The page numbers will be different. So when in giving you the answer to a quiz question that you may have missed, I'll say see page 234. If you don't have the 17th edition, that page number will not be quite accurate. Maybe off by 3 or 4 or 5 pages, something of that nature. So, first, read the instructor's notes, then read the reading assignment out of the text. I think in all but 2 of the lessons, there's 1 chapter is what you will read with each lesson. In a couple of the lessons we double up and you have a reading assignment of 2 chapters out of the text. Third, there will be a short 10-question quiz which you will take on Blackboard. The quizzes are taken always and usually verbatim right out of the text. If you read the text carefully just before you take the quiz, you should be able to do quite well on the quiz. There are 10 questions. They're all either true-false or multiple choice. Your quiz will be graded by Blackboard. When you're done, you'll know what your grade on the quiz is, and I give you in the syllabus the letter grade that I assign to the different scores that you will receive on the quiz. I do have the quizzes set up for 30 minutes. This is a revised course. I've been teaching this course for 15 years, but we've revised it this summer, so you're kind of my initial guinea pigs. I think 30 minutes will be fine for you to be able to take the quiz. But be aware that Blackboard will not shut you off at the end of 30 minutes. I want you to answer all the questions, and I want you to take however much time is required to do a good job on the questions. Blackboard will simply tell me how long you took to complete the quiz. Once again, I believe 30 minutes will be adequate. But I'll know if you take an hour or something of that nature. Do answer all the quiz questions. And last, there are 2 very short essay questions for each lesson. I think maybe 1 or 2 lessons only have 1 essay question. Write your answer to the essays and get them to me for grading. I will review your work, including your quiz on Blackboard and your essay, and respond to you with my remarks on your essay, and assign a letter grade for each lesson. And your grade for the course, based upon the letter grade on each lesson, is explained in the syllabus. So, that's a rough outline of what I expect you to do with each lesson in this course. Now let me very briefly introduce you to what you're going to be looking at here in Module 1 of the Mass Media Law course. First, I realize this is a journalism course, not a course for lawyers or paralegals, but in any event, you need to have at least a fundamental background of the sources from which we obtain law in our country. So the first chapter in the text is an excellent presentation. It's only 25-30 pages long, and it's supplemented by my longer than usual instructor's notes. Is a presentation to you to introduce you to the American legal system, and primarily the court system. You have to have this fundamental background before you start through the course, because so much of current mass media law is provided to us by court decisions, primarily those from the United States Supreme Court. So lesson 1 will be on the American legal system, and I encourage you to allow enough time to read my longer than usual instructor's notes, to read the Chapter 1 assignment in the text, and then take the quiz, all part of one sitting on your behalf, so that you'll be able to answer the quiz questions accurately. Lesson 2, Lesson 2 and 3 then delve into the United States Constitution, which again forms the background of this whole course, because the course is basically on the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, the amendment which gives us freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Lesson 2 is kind of an historical background, some of the early cases that involve the Constitution, whereas Lesson 3 delves into some of the contemporary issues that involve the First Amendment. You'll notice that our text, well, maybe you won't notice, but you can take it from me, that the text is reissued almost every 2 years, sometimes every single year. And that's because First Amendment law, mass media law, is quickly evolving. Just this last spring, the U.S. Supreme Court came down with the opinion that allowed people to carry pickets at the funerals of soldiers who had been killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. And they were allowed to do that, even though, without question, they were offensive to almost everybody. Their actions certainly caused the infliction of emotional distress to family members, but the First Amendment prevailed. We had a case here in Alaska just about 3 months ago in which one neighbor got mad at the other neighbor and painted on her roof. It was on a hillside, so the people above her got up in the morning to have their coffee, and they looked down upon her roof, and she painted threatening messages taken from the Bible on her roof. And of course the people uphill filed suit for infliction of emotional distress, and the court said no. First Amendment. On your own property you can say about whatever you want, post signs that say about whatever you want. So these decisions are coming out annually, and it's one reason why our text is kept up to date by being republished every year or every 2 years. So, third lesson is contemporary problems, such as those that I just discussed with you. Second lesson is more of the historical background, how the courts first dealt with freedom of the press type of issues. So, let's get started. That's Module 1. I'll turn the camera off now, and you're on your own until we get ready to start Lesson 4, which will be the beginning of Module 2.